Yeah, that was a great keynote, and it's always a pleasure to hear more about Kula DAO. There's a lot of sort of nonsense in this space, as we all know, in the crypto space. And every time that we come across a project of impact, we need to highlight it more. And so that's what I'm going to try and do today with Kula DAO. And I just want to mention a thank you to Mr. Bowater for holding this here. I know it's been a tough one with all of us going elsewhere tomorrow. But you know, just before we go into it, the symbolism of being here and trying to disrupt the centralized financial world. Like, if you were to think of a physical symbol of centralization, this is it. You know, the Royal Exchange, Bank of England, the et cetera, et cetera. So thank you for hosting this and inviting us to talk about decentralization. But yeah, so before we go into the details, just want you guys to introduce yourselves, because I know you have such ecstatic backgrounds, and I think the audience would like to hear it.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it, Emmanuel. And yes, once again, thanks for this space here. My name is Micah Yeackley, one of the co-founders of Kula, and I actually have a military background, retired from the United States Army, and got into the Bitcoin white paper back in 2014. Absolutely fell in love with the idea of blockchain and what it can offer for the world. The idea of operating transparently just really grabbed my attention. And so I've been really investing into blockchain projects since 2018, 2019, but deep diving into blockchain ever since 2014.
And I'm Chris. My background's been working. I've worked with most multilateral, bilateral agencies in my career. I lived in Asia for 20, 25 years, working on health promotion, then segued into infrastructural development, trade facilitation, energy integration across Southeast Asia. And over that time, I worked on multiple projects. And around 2011, it culminated with an assessment I was doing on a large project in East Asia. And about $2.5 billion had been programmed from UN money, and I was part of an assessment team, and I was the junior consultant on the team, which meant that I got all of the rubbish work, basically. And in that process, we discovered that only $300,000 had actually got to grassroots interventions, and I was the one uncovering that, because again, the senior consultants had taken off. But it was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for me, realizing, okay, there's some systemic issues here, and how can they get solved? And it was a couple of years after that, I ended up in my first blockchain conference, and I just made the connections of the ability of smart contracts, the ability to track and understand where, you know, what's the provenance trail here, and having it in a mutable framework to do that, and adding two and two together was like, okay, this is a technology that can actually solve for the problems that I've discovered in this particular industry. And then we met, and that led to the first basic white paper that we wrote.
Brilliant. And I'm Emmanuel from World Mobile, by the way, but we can keep that short. So yeah, interesting. So Kula DAO. It's all about DAOs. DAOs, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, had their sort of hype narrative moment, and that sort of died off, as all narratives now do. But again, you know, you guys are actually building something with impact and structuring it like a DAO. So for the audience, could you explain what a DAO is and why it's so necessary to what you guys are doing?
Okay, yeah. So yeah, decentralized autonomous organization using smart contracts to enable participation of a community as the community makes choices on those smart contracts for the execution of the decision, deployment of funds in an immutable way, as the traditional idea of what a DAO would be. And I found that a really fascinating, compelling concept initially, and we started applying it in our initial theoretical framing of what we were building in Kula. But pretty quickly, when you really dig into the consequences of what a DAO means, and you look at the historical kind of trajectory and narratives of what has happened with DAOs, there's often very, very thin, shallow constitutional understanding of the parameters around decision making. And you can have groupthink or complete liquid democracy that means decisions are made and no one actually tracked or understood what had happened. So they're not necessarily a one-fit solution, right? For re-governance modeling of how to do governance in a decentralized way. And I was actually at the House of Lords at a meeting 2 or 3 years ago, and someone really challenged me very directly. It was like, well, if you do this, it's just going to create more carnage, and it really pushed me into a corner. And I did my PhD actually in organizational design and governance, and we've really worked very hard to build a structured blockchain-based governance protocol, I would say, which is much more accurate to what we are, because it's not fully decentralized, it's not fully autonomous, and yet it's got decentralized and autonomy within it as well. So we kind of straddling that space when we talk about Web 2.5, that's where we would kind of fit. So we're leveraging the upside using the technology whilst being cognizant of the oversight that's required to make sure decisions don't go awry or become even damaging.
Awesome. And why do you think having a structure like that is important for encouraging community participation? So you guys are wanting to give equity, to invest in projects and then give equity back to the community that the projects benefit. Like, how does this structure help to facilitate that?
Okay, I'll let you talk in a minute. I'm sorry. Fundamentally, there is a promise made in many development contexts of local participation, and whilst lip service is given to that, and in some cases it does happen, truthfully, it's really not the case. And there may be people in the room that want to contest that, and that's fine. I'll happily have that conversation. But as a rule, that tends to be the case. And really, what we're trying to do by leveraging the technology, by putting equity in the hands of local communities, is really giving them a participatory voice that's got teeth. If they don't participate and they don't engage and they're not given that space where they can do it in a meaningful way, then it really is just kind of a token gesture. Our protocol allows them to be fully engaged in a way that if they don't agree and they're not part of the process, things don't happen and capital can't be deployed.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd obviously love to explore all of these topics there in depth, especially from just my academic interest in it. But I know you guys have had a lot of news over the past few weeks, a lot of news. I think one of the biggest or most significant pieces of news has been your admission of the former president of Ethiopia to your advisory panel. So I wanted to ask, why is that significant, and how is he going to help you drive towards your mission?
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of getting to know His Excellency Tamrat Admasu, former Prime Minister of Ethiopia. I've gotten to know him over the last couple of years now, and he's been engaged as we've been building this project. Obviously, a large heart for Africa, for Ethiopia, and the whole continent, frankly. But as he watched our project grow and our proofs of concept really take shape, prove out what we were going to do, just beginning of this year, actually, I spent about a week with him going over what we've done and what we plan to do. And he said, I think what I want to do in the continent of Africa could partner very well with Kula. And I actually, just a few weeks later, gave him an official job offer, and he signed. But really what it does is it matches his heart with Africa along with Kula's heart. And now, while we worked extensively in Africa already, we have a much broader global vision. But what Tamrat is going to do for us is, and he's already done, he's already opened up conversations in countries we haven't been a part of yet. In fact, new news, we're going to Ghana in May. Ghana is the largest gold producer in Africa, and he's already opened up the door to one of the kingmakers for that country, where we get to really meet with the government and government officials in May and talk about what Kula can do at the government level for the country of Ghana. And on top of that, he's opening up doors that we haven't had access to before. So,
Brilliant. Obviously, congratulations on securing that into your team effectively. And, I know that you guys are in Nepal, you're in Zambia, you're all over the developing world. And it's, we're often, as we sat here, we're in the heart of the West right now. We often have a Western view to how crypto is developing, and, we take it as a speculative thing over here. But actually, in most of the world where it's actually being used, it is actually being used to sort of impact people's lives on the ground. So I wanted to explore more about your projects in sort of Nepal and in Zambia. How did you come across, what are they, first of all? How are they going? And what was the journey to get them off the ground?
Yeah, well, our first proof of concept was a limestone mine, or is a limestone mine in Zambia, in a city, Lusangazi. We've partnered with the Sandwe tribe there, and that came from a relationship that goes back 40 years, really, with a local mining company there in Zambia. And so our first proof of concept came out of relationships. And from there, we started building out that project, investing into the limestone mine, and really engaging with the community, which led to engaging with their local tribal chief. And that led us to building a workshop for the government of Zambia, where we're educating the government of what blockchain can do, what Kula can do. And from there, that led to agricultural land and helping them find water in areas that they didn't realize there was water. So that was really our first project. And then again, through another relationship that is very well involved in the country of Nepal, we started engaging with that country and its government officials, its local businessmen, to pursue some hydropower opportunities there. Now, in Nepal, that's kind of our first foot in the door, and there's many other opportunities there inside that country. But we also had a company just apply to be what we call a regional DAO, or these assets on the ground. They applied through our website in Malaysia, and we're currently vetting that project and working on that. So there's some of us pursuing and engaging through relationships or through word of mouth, but then there's also people that apply via our website for investment and community impact that way.
Great to hear, obviously. And notice that even though we're talking here about a DAO, a blockchain-based project, we haven't mentioned the word token yet. Sometimes we just need to focus on the impact and have that in the background. However, that's going to end now, because I know you guys have done an amazing token launch over the past few weeks, right? And, in the market that we're currently in, that is a huge undertaking to make it as successful as it has been. So, yeah, can you tell us what made it successful? What challenges have you faced, especially given the fact that, you're very going heavy in the compliance space, and how educate the audience on what it means to do something like that?
Well, I'll take a few seconds and then you can chime in. It was definitely daunting working with the exchanges that we were going to launch on, our market makers that we were partnering with. Basically, everybody in our corner was saying it is not the time to launch. They were talking other tokens out of launching. They were trying to talk us out of launching just because the market was down, low volume. The traditional stock markets were down, the crypto markets were down, but we had committed to it. We were all in, and we just kind of trusted that our project really speaks for itself, and that's what we're seeing. I think most projects, when they go to launch, they're launching an idea, and they need that launch in order to raise funds to start building what they've been planning to build. And luckily, we self-funded for the first couple of years, and then we aligned ourselves with a handful of angel investors that believed in the project. And that's what got us to launch. That's what got us the ability to invest in assets, to bring on regional DAOs, and really launch with a project that works, that's operational, and doing exactly what we said we were going to do from the beginning. So the community has been really active, invested for a long time, and now they have been able to invest into the token. And so I think that's part of the reason why we've done so well.
And I kind of agree with what Micah just shared. We'd had some very soul-searching conversations 3-4 weeks ago of do we delay? Are we being stubborn or pig-headed, just moving forward in a market that is clearly not the right time to go for it? But I think for us, it came down to that concept, really the concept of we have a clear vision, we know what we're about, we know what we're doing and why we're doing it. And it's not about the speculative market, right? It's about the utility of what we're building and our belief in that. And also then calling a community to that perspective of they're already there. Like, it's not that we were calling them, they're already like right there and ready to go for it in terms of like, yeah, they agree and they're all in with what we're trying to build and what we're trying to do. So those two things together really left us, yeah, there was compelling factors in the sense that we'd made investments on the whole process and we were committed. But underneath it, we're building with an authenticity and a value that we really believe in, and we're calling people to, and our community has rallied to that, and which is why we've seen, well, we no one expected it. We're already pleased with how it's gone.
Yeah, that's great. The $1 million question when it comes to tokens in crypto, and particularly projects that already have a business and a product out there, is how do you align the sort of tokenomics, the token economy, with the community participation, the governance structure, to ensure that they get the benefits of what you've already built and what is being deployed in the field? So
we, in that evolutionary journey I was talking about, we partnered with a third party on their platform so we can get that engagement right. And we realized that pretty quickly that also wasn't fit for purpose. And then went through about another 12-month process and of building our own technology stack and UI UX platform so that we can have community participation. But also then there's complications with that. So we have a main parent, kind of like the main token, which is our governance token. But for each regional project that we operate, we create a token for that project as well. But that's a liquid, that's not on the market. But where there's then value that is associated with that token, initially it allows everybody within the community, the developer and us, to participate in the governance of that. But then there's the compliance side of the question when they want to redeem that token for value, right? And so managing that process too. So there's multiple levels and it's quite complex, but we're again leveraging the upside of the technology in the background. So really, people that are using our application don't really know about necessarily the blockchain side of the equation, because it's all about user utility, right? And can they engage and operate and use and participate in a meaningful way without tripping over all of the stuff we're talking about in this space, because that's not going to help. It's not going to move things forward or actually be beneficial in some sense. So we're leveraging the upside, but it's all kind of operating in the background.
Love it. Hidden technology. It needs to just work, and that's it. A couple more questions, and then I'll see if we have time to open it up to the audience. But yeah, what are you looking forward to now in your roadmap coming forward? And this is one for the Kula DAO community, because I think they would want to hear something.
Yeah, I mean, it's the building phase now, right? It's after launch, it's post-launch, so we get to carry out our vision even further. We get to start deploying funds that we've raised over the launch, and it's really engaging with new regional DAO companies that have applied, pursuing MOUs that we've signed, and really diving into some of these projects even deeper. Nepal, we are just scraping the surface of what we can do in the country of Nepal. Meanwhile, we're opening up doors to Ghana, to other African nations that we're very excited about. Conversations really even all the way over to the U.S. of possible regional DAOs that could be taking shape here in the next near future. So it's tough to give too much alpha here, Emmanuel, but
of course.
But yeah, we are grateful for our community, absolutely, and really just excited to get to the next chapter on our roadmap. That's really what it comes down to.
Fantastic.
I've got a couple just to add. We're deploying the app, right? So that's the process now over the next 3 or 4 months of making sure it's working and functional and deploying that out to the community, which is really exciting to think about, honestly, from, again, just the whole process of we get this token out the door, but now we get to build it and really grow it. There's a few kind of things in that roadmap too. We're having to be really conscientious about, again, on the compliance side, at the bottom of the kind of the hierarchy of how it works, making sure that when tokens go out the door, travel rule compliance is met. So we're operating on we'll build out the ERC 3643 protocol, the T-Rex protocol. We're kind of adapting a little bit so that when the community members receive tokens, they can't transfer them to developers, to make sure that the overall ecosystem stays correct within its tokenomics. And we've got some of that to deploy as well. But also it's really fun. We're starting to get outreach from new projects too. And we're having a conversation with a gin distillery in Portugal this next week that's interested in just little things like that. That
sounds fun.
But also, I think, like where we're working to make the uninvestable, you guys are making, your protocol's all about making the disconnected connected, right? And I think ongoing conversations with other partners that are really making an impact, we're in a place now where we can build, and that's so exciting to think about in this next evolution of where we go.
Awesome. I'd love to be involved in the gin distillery, by the way, just putting it out there. So obviously we're here to network, we're here to build relationships. If there's anyone sort of, who would you like to come up to you and talk to you? What type of vertical would you like for them to be from? And let's see if they can come up to you after this panel.
I mean, we're engaging right now with more exchanges to list our token on. Currently, we're listed on MEXC and Coins. We are in conversations with tier 1 exchanges and would like to go further with those. Just basically increasing the market that can buy our token right now. The U.S. cannot buy our token just yet, and so even if there was a company that could open that up, that would be brilliant for us. And then really any partner in the room that, there's so many opportunities that Kula can work with. Even your company, I was just speaking with Adam from Minima. There's all kinds of partnerships, even in this room, that Kula could create. Yeah. The digital commonwealth, of course. Jade, yes. Mining in general, any of those. We are looking for partners on the ground for real-world assets. We are looking for exchange partners. Those are really the conversations that I'd love to have.
And for me, I think we've worked at a process that solves for putting equity in people's pockets, but it's virtual and digital. And so we've got to really be working now at the connectivity and the off-ramping in really remote locations across Africa, Asia. And as much as we talk about that, we've got as much as we talk about that, we've also got opportunities and projects in Europe and North America too, which is a little easier to solve for, but across the board, we've got to start working at those. So again, if you want to talk to us about those things, we'll be really interested for looking how to partner.
Connectivity, we've got you covered. Is there any questions from the audience? Just one or two? If not, we'll end it there. Okay.
Well, I thought that was totally inspirational, and I'm fascinated by the communication you had with the chief of the tribe in Africa. Can you explain it from their point of view? What was the thing that grabbed it for them? In other words, the potential of what you're creating together. But his vision, can you share that with us so we can understand how important it is that you've made this connection and it's working?
To be quickly, because I can see James looking at his watch.
No, my mother.
We've partnered with a business that uses a particular type of technology to do digital resonance and identification of in-the-ground assets, and particularly water. We did a proof of concept on their technology in that tribe, and we identified, drilled, and found water. And in that particular community, in that particular area, water is everything. Water is life. And so that was kind of like a key that just unlocked access. The actual business that we were partnering with to that point had some fairly fractious relationships over the years. That again solved for that problem, and we just have open opportunity now. So we've actually done more analysis of that area. It's agriculturally, it's overlooked by the central government because there's no water in that particular area of the country. We've identified water and drilled it and found water. So now there's potential for water projects and agricultural projects in a region of Africa that's both water scarce and food security is an issue. So again, we're looking at impacts in very fundamental, substantive ways in that community, and it's just from the local tribal perspective, just absolutely beyond grateful because it's bringing substantive change. That's, even around the first aquifer we drilled, small-scale farming happened. They were importing several hours from the city, basic vegetables, and now they're grown on site, and so that's having an immediate impact also on diets and nutrition in that particular community too. So just simple interventions like that are really owned and managed by local communities having huge impacts in microeconomic transformation, really, which we're really thrilled to see.
Brilliant. We'll end it there. And remember, it's projects like these that are building in silence but having impact. So let's highlight them as much as we can. If you've got any ideas, get in touch. Thank you, guys.